on the debate topic tonight. Sanju Verma is national spokesperson of the BJP. Mr. M Kumaramangalam, national spokesperson of the Congress Party, is joining us. We also have SP Vaid, former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. Muzaffar Iqbal Khan is a former judge and a senior leader of the National Conference. Salman Nizami is chief spokesperson of the DPAP. Sanju Verma, you know, I just outlined the various laws of the Indian Penal Code, the various reservation provisions for SCs, STs, etc. And now, of course, women's reservation will also be applicable when the bill passes in both houses of parliament. All of this was not possible till 370 remained on the statutory books. It now ceases to exist, and it's got a legal stamp of approval after the verdict yesterday by the Supreme Court. So all of these laws will now be applicable to Jammu and Kashmir, just like it would to any other state or territory of India. Do you think that this has taken one more step towards the mainstreaming of Jammu and Kashmir?
You know, Zaka, first and foremost, I have to thank you for that absolutely brilliant and comprehensive introduction. There were facts which even I was not aware of, though I do a lot of homework before coming on your show. Will it lead to mainstreaming? I think that process began right after the abrogation of Article 370 way back in August 2019. And I say that backed by statistics and data. We are all aware that prior to the abrogation, you know, a marginalized section of the society, say the Valmikis, for example, they had no representation and they could not even afford to have representation within the J&K assembly. Now that has changed. If you look at what happened to the Gujjars and Bakarwals, way back in 1991-92, they were given ST status. But post the abrogation of Article 370, you know, now Pahadis also have been given ST status. So I think the abrogation made things easier. But more importantly, I think, you know, if you look at terror incidents, those are down by 67% plus. Stone pelting incidents are down by 87% plus. And while there continue to be lone wolf incidents, you know, those will take a time take a while, pardon me, to get sorted. I think the best way to mainstream a war-ravaged or a conflict-ridden zone is to ensure that people are empowered economically. And I think there the Modi government has done an outstanding job, a brilliant job, because don't forget, as we speak now, the 81,000 crore package which was announced by Prime Minister Modi way back in 2015, more than 83% of that has already been spent. Then there was a 28,000 crore GST-linked package which was announced 18 months back. That is also underway. The Chenali-Nashri tunnel, the work on that started in 2011. It was completed in 2017 by Prime Minister Modi. As we speak now, 25,000 crore worth of infrastructure projects are underway. Most importantly, in the last 12 months, 1.5 crore tourists have come to J&K, which is superb, given that J&K is by and large a tourist-driven economy. More than 12 lakh Ujjwala Yojana connections have been given to the women in J&K households. More than 9 lakh children benefit from the midday meal school scheme in J&K. Ayushman Bharat is applicable to only those who qualify under the list of socially and economically backward castes in other states. But in Jammu and Kashmir, no questions asked. Anybody, right from Farooq Abdullah, you could be a millionaire, a billionaire, or somebody who's surviving on food stamps. You will be, having complete access to Ayushman Bharat Yojana. And most importantly, I think there is now better utilization of resources. For the longest time when the Abdullahs were in power in the state and the Congress was in power in the center, I'll just take 10 seconds. The average money that was received by way of grants, every Kashmiri used to get 93,000 rupees. Jammu and Kashmir had less than 2% of India's population, but used to get more than 10% of the central government grants, which were never utilized. Uttar Pradesh, despite 13.5% of India's population, used to get only 8% of the grants, which means an average person in Uttar Pradesh used to get only 4,300 rupees per person. And despite getting 93,000 rupees per person on an average, none of that money went to the end user because there was pilferage. And that, I think, has stopped because the leadership after abrogation of Article 370 is very clear. We mean business and we will not allow anyone to play foul with what we intend to do.
Let me go to M Kumaramangalam. M Kumaramangalam, I'm just repeating for the benefit of our viewers who may have just joined. These are the laws that are now applicable in Jammu and Kashmir, just like they are applicable in any state of India. Juvenile Justice Act, the Prevention of Corruption Act, the Right to Education, which is a central law passed by Parliament, Whistleblowers Protection Act, the SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act. Please give me a good reason why none of these laws, which were applicable in all provinces, states, territories of India, were not applicable in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. It was all because of this fig leaf of Article 370, which created this whole thing that, Jammu and Kashmir is a special status, therefore the laws of India will not apply to that state until ratified by the state legislature.
Zaka, you mentioned a few laws. You also talked about reservation, and in the same breath forgot to mention that Jammu and Kashmir had reservation before the abrogation of 370 as well. So to educate your viewers, let me tell them that before the special status of Jammu and Kashmir was removed, there was an 8% reservation for scheduled castes, 10% for scheduled tribes, 2% for social castes, and so on and so forth. So you made it sound like there was no reservation in the state before this. And as you mentioned a whole number of laws, I can equally larger number of laws that are actually applicable in Jammu and Kashmir. As the Honorable Chief Justice of India read out the summary of this judgment, he pointed out to the fact that over the last 70 years, step by step, the original Article 370 that was promulgated or made part of our constitution has been gradually made ineffective. It was barely a weak link between Jammu and Kashmir and the center. Now, what we have been opposed to from the very beginning is the manner in which 370 was abrogated. Now, unfortunately, the learned judges did not decide on some of the most important questions actually that were facing them, which includes whether the governor in his powers in June 2018 had rightfully, had right cause or just cause to dissolve the assembly.
That was not the matter that was under challenge anyway, Mohan. But anyway, be that as it may, go
hold on a second.
The matter before the Constitution bench was not whether the dissolution of the assembly was valid.
1 second. It is all part of the same process.
It was not part of this, the matter before the court. Anyway, go on, yeah.
If you did not have president's rule, you won't have to go and modify Article 376 and then have the president actually give his assent in the absence of a legislative assembly. So if there was no president's rule, 370 could not be abrogated at all. That is, I'm talking prior to the judgment.
No, 1 second. You haven't answered my question, and I'm coming back. I've just been informed. 1 second. I've just been informed by my producers, Ms. Mohan Kumaramangalam, that Valmikis as OBCs did not have even permanent resident status in Jammu and Kashmir. Secondly, and you are well aware of this. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. No, 1 second. Hang on a second. You're well aware of this, that if Kashmiri women married from outside, they had no access to property rights because of 35A. Now, after the abrogation of 370 and its legal validation by the Supreme Court, any resident of India, just like in any other part of India, is free to buy property, is free to live and work. Freedom of movement is a fundamental right.
Okay, Zaka. Now can I speak?
Yeah, so you're not answering any of those questions.
No, these aren't questions to answer. You're basically throwing facts at me, and I'm in agreement with you that, okay, these laws were not applicable. Here's the larger question. The larger question is 370 is just one part. After 370 came 371A, which is applicable to Nagaland, 371B, which is applicable to Mizoram. Asymmetric devolution of powers in states. There's more than one state in India where not all our laws are applicable, depending on how that state was acceded or is part of the union. This is also there in other countries, by the way. There's also asymmetric devolution of powers in Australia and in Russia. Now, we can go to every state, pick up certain laws that are applicable in the union and say, it would have been better if this was applicable in the state.
You know what?
Now, let me get to
Okay, Mohan, fine. There are three other guests. I need to go to them as well. But I think the court, because the court mentioned this, and I think it's pertinent to underline this as well, the court said that you cannot have, in a polity like India, in a federal system like ours, you cannot have an asymmetric federalism, which means that the federalism that Tamil Nadu has with the center, the same federalism should be applicable for Jammu and Kashmir with the center. But be that as it may,